It's a new day, Noonan. Yes, it is. And I am the daddy who is a baddie. I am the prince of pomp and circumstance. Speaking of which, what does that mean when people say pomp? I get circumstance. Circumstance is already a word, and I don't understand how it's fancy to be circumstance.
You're asking me? I have literally no idea.
If you had to replace pomp and circumstance with a new word, pomp and blank, what would you replace it with? Give me something
Pomp and
good.
proper.
Pump and proper. That's lame. That sounds like I'm going to a violin concert.
So does pomp and circumstance.
Yeah. And I am the prince of violin concerts. And today we are joined by what name do you want to go by today?
So I was trying to think of something that was so you've got, I know, Harold and Harriet in Sharpsburg exam, so I want something cute, but like there's not very many hair things. I could be
Hairball.
uh no, I don't want to be hairball. Blech. Uh okay, should I be Hannah or Harley?
Ooh.
Unless there's ooh.
Can you be Hannah Harley and you'll be like a motorcycle girl?
I can do that for you sometimes.
I was about to say, anytime we kiss, I like close my eyes and I'm like, ooh, what if she was a motorcycle girl and she was on a Harley and making it go vroom vroom, and that revs my engines in 12 different ways, if you know what I mean. All 12 senses are going boop.
That's why you wanted me to come talk about meth, because you think that all motorcycle riders do meth.
And what a
Good to know.
horrible but perfect transition into today's topic. Today's topic is meth. This is our methisode. We've been talking about doing our methisodes since I decided to do this terrible, horrible, disgusting podcast. And now we're finally getting around to it months and months later, which means, since this is the one that's been planned the longest, this will be the worst episode so far.
Glad you believe in me.
Yeah. Harley, Hannah, or Harna, Hanley. Hanley, be Hanley.
Sure. Okay, Hanley.
Hanley. And Hanley is my IRLGF. So what's it like dating me, honestly?
Basically like dating Harold. Uh,
Well, yeah, because I am Harold Hanley.
let's see. A lot of improv,
Yeah, baby.
a lot of trivia.
Yeah, baby. Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Tuesdays at Winks and Things in Fayetteville. Wednesdays is Amici's in Fayetteville. You tell him.
Uh, Secretly though, he's really sweet and gives lots of really sweet gifts and is very thoughtful. So there's also that in there.
Why is that secretly?
Because you don't, let's see, how do I put you don't present yourself publicly as Harold as being very sweet and thoughtful. You're com-
The whole thing I do for this world is being sweet and thoughtful. I provide laughter and joy and virtual orgasms all over the internet. We call that a VJ, virtual orgasms.
Science class. I'm
Oh,
attending science class.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, tell us a little bit about you. Whatever you're comfortable telling us about you. Everyone knows me and everyone loves me, but what do we need to know about you, Hanley?
Well, I am, I was a social worker, did that for a while. I now
We
am
need to
not a social
we've
worker.
got to do an episode on that as well. I forgot about that. Not forgot, but I
Oh, about
forgot that that would be really good content. And you probably can't talk about a lot of it though, can you?
I can talk in broad terms about, like, I can talk about things generally. I can't talk about specific cases that would be things that might, like, I can't say something where Uncle Timmy's gonna be like, oh my gosh, that was my niece. I know about this.
But if you could just talk in broad terms, couldn't I? I mean, I can do that, right? I can just be like, "Hey, I bet somewhere some old dude did something disgusting with a minor," and I'd be right, yeah?
Yes. So, well, for context, since you know what I have like worked on in my past, but other people don't. I was a director of a sexual assault and child advocacy center, so worked with adult victims of sexual assault and then adolescent victims of really any kind of assault, abuse, neglect.
Which we will make zero jokes about. Nope. Though if your name is Uncle Timmy, tell you what, Hanlee's saying it right now. Screw you, dude. Or wait, I guess in your story he was like an innocent dude, and he just didn't want you talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
whatever. Uncle Timmy, go to hell, Uncle Timmy. Whoever, whoever that is. Screw that guy. F him and the VJ. All right. What else? What are some other things about you that we would love to know? 5 minutes into this amazing episode.
Let's see. I have children. I like them so I like them sometimes.
Really good one.
Let's see. I'm not gonna say my new job, but I have a new job. I was working at a college,
Mm.
so it's a college that I graduated from. That was kind of weird to work at a place that I went to school.
So let's leave your LinkedIn profile and talk about you as a human. What do you do for fun? I know the answers because I live with you and sometimes we hold hands. But for the rest of the world, what does a Hanley do for fun when she's not working on her bike?
I sometimes play
Video games?
video games, and I might start doing Dinner Detective with you and Harriet. That would be cool. I I spend a lot of time hanging out with Harold. I
That's
do.
a terrible way to spend your free time. Everybody knows that.
What? Nobody says that about you, probably.
And you're actually good at video games. I know, like, since you're a girl, we're like, oh, okay, so she plays like Polly Pocket the game on DS and stuff like that. But you're one of the few people, this is a mean joke, I apologize. You're one of the few people in the world that can beat me at Mario Kart. It doesn't happen often. I've known a few people that can beat me, and you've done it, and I'm proud of you for that.
Thank you. That means so much.
And in Mario Party, you smashed me in Mario Party a lot. You're a good Mario Party smasher. You smash.
Aw, thank you. I'll add that to my LinkedIn profile.
And also, you have experience with the devil's. It's not the devil's lettuce. What do we want to call it? What do we want to call meth? Is it the devil's milk? The devil's lactation, maybe?
Oh, so it has to be something related to the devil.
Right, because weed is
The
the devil's lettuce, and cocaine is the devil's dandruff. And
Mhm.
Adderall is the devil's boner. And now we need one for meth.
Mm. Could be the devil's snow cone because they call it ice.
Oh, and is it like colorful?
No, no, it's more like ice. It's
Well,
not like Pop Rocks.
in Breaking Bad, they make it that blue. They make the blue crystal meth. So, have you seen Breaking Bad?
I have seen some of Breaking Bad when it was new.
So, right off the bat, then, my first question is, based on what you have seen of Breaking Bad, is that what meth is like, or is that a fictionalized version of meth?
Well, so let's start with the disclaimer that I am not a meth expert.
That's good. We didn't plan that. That's good.
Yeah. So I am not a user of meth
No,
as a
no, no,
disclaimer
yeah.
there.
Sorry, we should have said that at the beginning. Not a user of meth. Sorry about that. Yep, yep, yep.
That's really the LinkedIn profile I should have been providing is my expertise or lack thereof in methamphetamine.
Hey, it got you on this podcast, so I don't know where else you want to be in life.
But I would say there's like little hints of reality in there, but it's very, very dramatic, the televised version. I wouldn't say there's much reality to it.
So probably not based on a true story.
Probably not.
All right,
It's
so I'm gonna hit you with questions, and if at any point you're like, I don't want to answer that, I'm uncomfortable with that, just tell me to go screw myself, or I'm trying not to say the F-bomb today. So that is one of my goals through this episode is not to say the F-bomb. So apologies in advance if you got on this podcast to hear the F-bomb. We're not saying that anymore because the internet who posts my podcast does not like the F-bomb. So no F-bombs. So if I say something and you don't want to answer it, you just let me know and I will move on because I am the most respectful mustache gentleman in the entire world. Right?
Absolutely. So respectful. I call him Sir Harold.
Yeah, you do. And I wear a fedora and I tip it and I say, "Milady," and I open the door for you. And then as you walk through, I say, "Chivalry isn't dead." And I wink and I turn into dust and
Yes.
I love it. A dust man. All right, so I don't know what meth really is. I know from Breaking Bad and I know from Imagination, but what is meth? What is it? What does it do? Why do people like meth?
So meth is a stimulant. It increases the same chemicals that your like antidepressants increase. It's
Ooh,
gonna be like dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine.
sounds great. I love it already.
Yeah. So the pretty standard happy chemicals in the brain. That's what meth does.
If that's
It
all it does,
is,
though, why is there such a harsh stigma around it if all it does is be an extra antidepressant?
well, that's how it makes you feel. It's like that, but way, way, way more. It's like that's what it does as far as the chemicals in your brain, but it's not the same as taking like your Zoloft, and it's not like taking two Zoloft.
All
It's
right, you're making it
way
sound
more than
like
that.
I take Zoloft, and I don't take Zoloft, Hanley. Don't put that on
I
me.
I did not mean Harold specifically. I meant as a generic, just a common antidepressant.
We
It's
can
not
go
the same
through
as taking
we can
meth.
go through all the pills I take if that's what you want. All right. I take propanolol. I take either Cialis or Viagra if my bones ain't working well. I take Abilify for bipolar. I take Ambien for sleep. I take Lyrica for my leg pain. I take what's the last one? What do I take for pain? Tramadol.
Uh, mm,
Tramadol. And I take Tramadol for pain. So look, that's only six. So you're telling me if I take all those at once, will I get the same effect as meth?
no,
Damn
no,
it.
you will not.
I say damn it, but also I don't want to do meth, so it's okay.
And what else do you want to know? Like about, do you want to know like what kind of forms it comes in? I don't know what your baseline knowledge is.
I mean, I'm playing up the fact that I don't know what meth is. So I'm gonna continue playing it up because it's cute to be dumb. Girls love that when guys pretend to be dumb. So yeah, what I know the blue crystal meth from Breaking Bad. What other forms have you seen it come in that you've been like, hey, I see that form. I've seen somebody take it. I know what that form of meth does.
So taking a quick step back about my meth expertise. So my meth expertise come from being raised by meth addicts. Now, my parents, while they were meth addicts, they also were generous and thoughtful enough to not do the meth next to me.
Hmm.
So I do not have experience. Like I didn't just hang out and watch a bunch of adults do meth. I do know that you can take it most any kind of way. Like you can smoke meth, you could snort it if you wanted to, you could inject it, but um I luckily have not watched people do meth.
But you've been aware of when they were high on meth and around you, yes?
Oh yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
And what are some of the differences that you noticed when, I don't know what age we're talking here. What ages are we talking that if you're comfortable saying what ages you were around it?
So for as long back as I could remember, like as young as back as words are hard. Uh they just kind of always were on it up until my dad got arrested when I was in college, and so he stopped taking meth then, taking meth, doing meth. And my mother, she says that she stopped doing meth before that. So when I was a teenager, so she also got arrested for it, and that seemed to do the trick for them. It took my dad a few times getting arrested, but with my mother, it just took the one.
Now, and I know I'm not letting you answer the earlier questions. When they get arrested, is there some sort of rehabilitation, treatment, addiction thing that, because this is in Coweta County, is there something they put them through to kind of help them get off meth, or is it just you're going to have to be cold turkey because you're in prison, so obviously you're going to get off meth, or is there some kind of program that they let them go through? I don't know what do they do?
I'm not sure for people that have a longer term sentence. For my mother, she wasn't in for that long. Um, she she didn't speak about any kind of treatment program. Now, once you get out, you do have certain things you have to report. Like you do have to consistently do drug testing, but a lot of it's also going to depend on the actual specifics of your, like if you took like any kind of plea, it's going to depend on the extent of the charges. Like, were you just doing a little bit of meth, or were you also distributing?
Yeah.
So, and this was also several years ago. So it would have probably been like 15 years ago that she was arrested in Coweta.
Hmm. But you said that after her first arrest on it, she seemed to have gotten off of it after, and it took your dad several.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she replaced it with some other stuff for a while, but yeah, my dad was a slower learner.
Did you notice a major difference in them between before and after these arrests that changed their habits?
Um, with him, less so, but I also didn't see him very much. With my mother, it was a big difference because when you are doing meth, when you're high on it, the high is like crazy. It's like manic, the high from meth. And then when you come down, you're going to have a hard time getting that person out of bed. Like they will just sleep and sleep. It's
Uh,
really between those two extremes.
and when before they got arrested, what was like the number one sign that you knew? Oh, okay, someone's high on meth. Even if it wasn't them, I know you said they had friends that hung out and also did meth around you. Not that you saw, but just that you knew. What is like the number one tell where you're like, okay, like I mean, for being high, it's the red eyes or the bloodshot eyes and the slowed speech and whoa, look at me, bro. I'm into Bob Marley now all of a sudden and all that horrible crap. So what is like the thing that when someone's on meth, you're like, okay, I can tell. Because I've been places with you and you've been like, hey, I think that person probably is on meth. And I'm always like, what who? Everyone seems fine. I don't know what you're noticing. But I am also a foolish lamb.
I don't think it's like what you call it, the devil's lettuce is what you called
The devil's lettuce.
marijuana. I don't think it's like that in the sense that there's just one really obvious tell. I think with meth, it's a combination of things that come together. So, like your stereotypical person on meth is going to be thin, but that's not always the case. Like I have plenty of family members that are very large meth users.
All right, no need to be a
So,
bully.
no, well, like they know they're not skinny. They know it's
Which is okay. It is okay to not be skinny, everyone.
I am not thin.
I have gained, how much pounds have I gained now? 10, 15 pounds in the last couple months. So, hey man, you can be beautiful and also be meth.
That's the takeaway.
I don't, honestly, I have no idea what the takeaway of this episode's going to be. I also know at this point we're going to split it up into two parts. So this is just part one. I don't know if we're even going to get to a takeaway yet. But you know what? I'm curious to hear more about, was there
Like
like,
how you can tell.
yeah, I'll let you answer that question first because I'm already thinking of the next five questions.
If somebody's been using meth for a while, there's almost like a sunken look, like to their face, to their features. There's a sunken look. And one of the big things that's like classic with meth is going to be the teeth, because meth does tend to rot the teeth. Then as far as your affect goes, somebody that's high on meth is often really twitchy.
Hmm.
I have a family member that I know when he's doing meth, his jaw is like it just rotates. It's just wiggling his jaw. Like, oh, well, he's high.
Is there a smell to it? Does it have a smell like marijuana does? And even like alcohol, they both have a very strong smell. Does meth have a smell?
It's not anything I've ever noticed. I've never been in the room while they're actually smoking it or
That's
doing
fair. Yeah.
meth. I've been told that actual meth labs have a strong smell, but when it comes to just like recreational use, I don't know.
Was there a moment, and this might be too personal, but was there a time when they apologized, or not even anyone that knows that they did this around you and that they felt like maybe they weren't there for you in the way they should have been because of it? Was there a moment that they acknowledged that to you, or was it just they get arrested, it's embarrassing, they stop, and they're open about the fact that they stopped? But was there a moment they're like, hey, you know what, Hanley? We should have done better.
As far as my parents go, I think they've both done that. Especially my mother, she has come a really long way. Not to say that my dad hasn't, but she had a bit further to go than he did. And so she's a completely different person now, and she's acknowledged a lot of things. Not so, she likes to say that she was a functioning meth addict. That's her terminology for it.
Do you agree with
So
that?
I think that if functioning is keeping everybody alive, then she did it.
I mean, that's a one way to define that. I guess that works, yeah. A good enough meth addict, yeah, maybe functioning. I love your mother, so we know how I feel about her, but I didn't know her during the times that you are discussing.
Yeah, so I do want to include that she has come a long way and that I am really proud of her. I do think my dad acknowledged more that the actual drug use was problematic and that he let us down in that way. I think that really hit him harder.
Did you have trouble forgiving them, or was it you like I have no idea. My parents didn't smoke, they didn't drink, they didn't do anything when I was a kid. They just, randomly got divorced, but I was never surrounded. They didn't fight. It was just nothing, 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 and then all of a sudden their relationship was over, but I never went through something like that I had to forgive them for. Like after they got the divorce and my dad felt sorry, I forgave him immediately because to me this was like the first time he's ever had to ask for forgiveness for something. And I didn't know if was it really tough when they did acknowledge that they messed up, or was it, hey, you can see the major change already and so you were easy to forgive them?
I was a lot I was a lot easier on my dad, partially because we just saw him like every other weekend. We didn't spend a ton of time with him. He wasn't necessarily very present, but he was always very nice. And so that was something I appreciated because my home with my mother,
That means
it
he
was
bought
not
you
nice.
stuff. Sorry.
No, he didn't buy us stuff. He took us to Blockbuster to rent a video game each weekend so he could, because he would be coming off of meth because he didn't want to do it while we were there. So he'd sleep the whole weekend. But he took us to Blockbuster to get a video game.
I both love and am very sad by this story because I know how much joy there is in going to Blockbuster and getting a video game, and it is magical. And that stands the test of everything else. Sorry.
That's when I fell in love with Kingdom Hearts.
See, if it wasn't for drugs, you would not have found your favorite video game.
So yeah, it was a lot easier to forgive him. Like when he was arrested when I was in college, I actually offered to bail him out.
Oh wow,
I
I
was
did
gonna
not know that.
use my yeah, I wasn't working much, but I I cared a lot about school, so I was going to school on a scholarship, and I was getting money back from the Pell Grant because I was also very poor because I came from a meth family. So I offered to use some of my money to bail him out, which at the last minute, luckily my Nana was like, never mind, I'll do it.
And for this next question, I know that there's an instance that we probably don't want to talk about, but did it ever get violent and scary? Like even if it was someone who came to the house to do it? Because when I think about drugs, just from what pop culture tells me, the dangerous ones that bring out people being bad people, not bad people, but scary in terms of TV and movies. Cocaine makes people act wild and dangerous, and meth makes people act crazy, and that's what all of pop culture says. Is that realistic, or is that just trying to make TV and movies seem fancy?
In my experience, it's very realistic. So my life was very violent for most of it. Not with my dad, because like I said, he was just a sleeping little bear. But at
Oh,
my
goodness.
mother's, yeah, for sure, for sure. She like I said, very different now, but back when she was on meth, she was crazy. Absolutely crazy. She was violent. The men that kind of cycled in and out of the house, they were very violent. So a lot of domestic violence, a lot of police activity, very, very methy.
And do you come after experiencing it, do you completely contribute that to the meth? Like if meth wouldn't have been around, do you think it would have been so incredibly different, or do you think there were other things that made it worse? And again, if any of this is too personal and you don't want it to be on the internet forever, you just say, "Shut up, boy."
No, I don't mind talking about it. I just feel like I tend to just assume nobody wants to hear about it. But if people want to hear about it, sure.
I mean, if people don't want to hear about it, then they won't be hearing our voices right now. So I have
That's
no
true.
idea. I have no idea. Might just be you and me listening to this episode. But we'll play it every night,
There, we'll play it every night.
every single night. No more TV shows.
But you love Ink Master so much.
I don't even like it that much. I've been trying to find a new competitive reality show after Lego Masters, the season's end. So once Lego Masters isn't putting out new episodes, I have to have something. And I just got that one tattoo, what, a month ago, and since then it's been, all right, I'm thinking about tattoos now. And I do love Ink Master. I take back when I said I didn't love it. It's perfect.
Maybe we'll alternate. Like some nights it'll be Methisode, and then some nights it'll be Ink Master, and then we can just think about what those two would be like together.
I hate that idea.
Well, that's my life. That's I got my tattoo from a meth head during a tattoo
Oh,
party.
that's right. You've got do you want to tell the story about the tattoo on your back and then we'll wrap up part one of our Methisode?
Sure. I have a tattoo right here. I
Can you
got it when
show
I
it?
was
Are you okay
17.
showing it?
Well, I'm wearing your shirt. I can't show it. I got your shirt on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Don't
treble clef with a yin yang in the middle.
Of course it is.
Because 17-year-old me didn't understand cultural appropriation. Like, this yin yang, which it actually was really meaningful for me. But now I'm like, maybe that wasn't the best choice.
Tell us about the meaning behind it. Tell us about the process of getting the tattoo, if you will, please.
So, which you want to hear first, the meaning or the process?
Well, the meaning, why you chose that one, and then you would tell us about then getting your meaning on your back. Unless they like randomly gave it to you, and then afterwards you're like, oh, I better find meaning in this.
No, no, no. I chose, well, the treble clef was for me. Back then, I was very into music, into creating music. It was really important to me. But the yin yang symbol actually does relate to meth in a way. So, my mother's long-term boyfriend when I was growing up, he had schizophrenia and also a meth addiction. And so the two different versions of him that I would see were so drastic that after he died, I really associated that symbol with him and the balancing. Like there was a night not too long before he died where I remember him just breaking down in a moment of clarity where he just realized, oh my gosh, I have no real concept of reality. I have lost my mind. And just seeing him broken like that really put into perspective for me, even as a child, like this is somebody that is just battling so much with these two very different versions of him, the one that he wants to be and the one that he is fighting against. And so, yeah, after he died, I got it as a tattoo.
That is a ton more meaning than I thought. That's a really good answer. Is he the one who tattooed it on you? Do you know who it was?
Oh, the one that tattooed it on me was so we had a tattoo party at my mother's house. This was several years later, so I was a teenager at this point, but when he died, I was in like fifth grade. Um, so the tattoo though came from a tattoo party that we were hosting at my mother was hosting at our house. Her friend had come up from Florida. He went by Spida,
Mm.
and all of her friends were coming over to buy tattoos from Spida. So I decided that I wanted to get one. So in my kitchen, got a tattoo from Spida.
Was
He
Spider
he
nice?
he was nice. He was high and he learned to tattoo while he was incarcerated, but he was nice.
And the tattoo doesn't look bad. I've always like made fun of the design. Like, why do you have this treble clef in the yin yang? And the story makes it less silly. But I'm sure you've told me before why you got it. But it's not an ugly tattoo. Spider's not terrible. I think with a few more years, Spider could be on Ink Master.
I wonder if he's still alive.
Do you know his real name or do you only know Spider? I bet his real name's like Eugene Clarence or something.
I think I used to know. I'm sure she knew because it was Spida and Pops. Pops was his dad. They all became friends at a motorcycle rally. It was Angel City motorcycle rally.
Oh, these people, they're not real and I love it. Well, what I'd like to do then, leading up to our part two of the Methisode, is I would like to see if we can figure out what happened to Spider. Do you think we could try to do that?
Yeah, I can ask. She might still. I want. Oh, yeah, I can ask.
Yeah, let's see if she remembers. And next time we'll jump into, we've talked a lot about the past and the realities of it. Next episode, we'll get into the current day drugs and the state of, there's a really good article posted by Noon and Times Herald, which sometimes posts good things. They did a few years ago about meth. Then they've actually posted two in the last several years about meth and the local area. And I'd like to dive into that with you if you'd like to dive into that with me and discuss it.
Sure.
And I know that if anyone listening to this felt that we were mocking meth use, I apologize. We are not. We're not mocking addicts. This is someone that we're talking to today that has real life experience, and we're diving into it because they have a story to tell. And I hope if you know someone who is struggling, you'll hear this and hear the message of hope because I think your story especially is one of hope and change. And I know both your parents, and if you wouldn't have told me that they were ever meth addicts, I never would have gotten to that point and thought, hey, those are meth addicts. And I know you have a place you would like to suggest to speak to if you are someone locally who struggles with something like this. I don't remember what it's called.
Oh, we mentioned it briefly at the beginning. It's Coweta Force.
Coweta Force.
Did
And
we? Maybe we didn't talk about that beginning. Maybe that was just me and you talking.
I think it was, but that's the beginning of the day. That's how we woke up this morning. I woke up and rolled over and Hanlee was like, "Oh, Coweta Force." I went, "What the hell?" That's how we
Yeah,
started our day. Did
they
you call
work
me
with a
cuh?
lot of
Did you just
different.
say yeah,
No,
cuh? Yeah, cuh. What the heck?
no, I was starting to say a different sentence and then I made a different turn.
And tell us a little bit more about Coweta Force for those that don't know. You've worked like along with them before?
When I was in the nonprofit world, they were just really starting to get started. I don't know a ton about them. I do know they work with addiction and recovery. I know that they are uh humorously located next to Line Creek Brewing, the reserve in Noonan. So you can actually see their sign if you're sitting outside at the brewery. So it's a good partnership, I suppose.
They're the one with the big like fence, right? Like they have the big chain link fence around them.
They do, yeah. It's got like a sunshine on the logo.
Well, that's it for episode one. We are almost at 40 minutes of a discussion on meth. We thought we were going to get through a whole lot more, but there's a lot here that we dug into, a lot that we weren't planning to talk about, a lot of questions I hadn't planned on asking, which I apologize for throwing more at you than we had planned. What's the rest of our night look like? What are we doing? It's Monday night.
Probably, let's see, cuddle and watch Ink Master and maybe play video games.
It's Monday night, Hanley. What happens on Monday nights?
Oh, because it's Monday. Sorry, I am the worst. It's wrestling.
Wrestling night! You're not the worst, but don't forget about wrestling.
Monday Night Raw.
You're so excited. All right, everybody. We love you. Talk to you later.